Hunni.
Welcome to Yasssss Hunni.
Yes, honey.
A podcast celebrating people who are healthy, happy, and whole.
Thank you for every single day that you give us an inspirational word.
Yes, honey.
It's inspiration in a word. And now here's your host, JD, the diva.
No one can do that. Yes, honey, like you. Do it, JD.
Yes, honey. And welcome to another edition of Yes, Honey podcast. I am your host, JD, the diva. All right, so this topic is really important to me. Strength of a woman. And why this topic now? Well, earlier this year, I had the opportunity to participate in I Am Queen Charlotte. It was an experience in which 50 black women were honored because of their contributions to the Charlotte community and because they're dope women. And so that really got me kind of excited. That was one reason. The other reason, I've been very fortunate enough to spend some more time with my mom. My mom now has early signs of dementia. And just watching her now has just made me more self-aware of who I am and who I came from. And so I'm looking at my mom, I'm like, wow, she's always been this ultra-independent woman. And now I can see those qualities declining in her. And so it made me say, over the years, she's been so strong. And so I wanted to highlight some strong women that I know personally. And we're going to be talking about a little bit of everything. So I want to introduce you to those women. The strength of a woman on this edition of Yes, Honey. Okay, ladies. Yes, you know I have to put my specs on. I want to introduce these three fabulous women, starting with my far left, Hannah Hassan. She's an award-winning storyteller, a spoken word artist, a speaker, facilitator, and co-creator of I Am Queen Charlotte. She's been happily married for 12 years, no children. Welcome, Miss Hannah.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Also, we have Miss Janine Bryant. She's a South Carolina girl, which I didn't know that, honestly.
Yeah,
From Greenville, South Carolina. She moved to Charlotte to go to Davidson College. She is an educator. She is an activist. She is principal of her own company, Facilitate Movement. And she's the mother of a beautiful girl by the name of Jordan. She's so sweet. So welcome, Miss Janine.
Thank you, Janine.
And of course, Miss Vidra Grant, honey. She is a senior multimedia consultant. I love that. Grew up in Augusta, Georgia. I didn't know that either. She has one grown son, and she says she's creating phase 3 of her life as an actor and a producer.
Oh.
Yes, honey. So welcome, ladies. Thank you so much.
Happy to have you.
Absolutely. So I think I had already kind of given you all some insight on my very first question, which I like to do like a random question to some of my guests, which is, what's the one thing people don't know about you? Or the unusual thing that people don't know about you is what? And whoever wants to start.
I guess I'll start.
Go ahead.
The response, listen, I dug for a while for this because I wanted to find something like really cool.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm going to just be real.
Just be real. What people don't know about
yeah,
you,
it's
girl?
going to feel like a push otherwise. But what I spoke to Janine about was my sort of friendship history. So I've never really had issues in romantic relationships, either like it worked or it didn't. And, you know, I'm married and I've been married for a while, but I have had quite a journey with friendship breakups that have been mostly in my adult years.
Right.
Yes, and harder than any other breakups that I've ever had, and learned so much about myself through it. I think that surprises a lot of people because I'm like Miss Sisterhood and all of that, but like I've been probably hurt by more friendship breakups than any others.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. We got to talk about that. We're going to put a pin in that. All right.
Not going to break over here. No. You stuck with me. Okay. Yeah.
Janine?
I gave you a couple options for this. And so I was going to start with that I wore a patch when I was a little kid.
Like on your eye?
I did.
Right, that's the first thing you say.
On my knee?
Patch, what?
I wore a patch on my eye, but it was in 1st and 2nd grade, and it was just a little bandage patch. And I was so little that I would forget which eye I was supposed to put it on, and I would just slap it on whichever eye.
Oh, bless your heart.
It was terrible. And I had a lazy eye, severely lazy eye, and I still have continued depth perception problems, but most people don't know that. And my family used to call me a little pirate because I had one eye covered.
Man.
And that was also the I think some of the things that led me to understand what it feels like to be out of place and like to have people point you out and to be singled out, even though you're not doing anything. And it made me more watchful, actually.
Wow.
And people used to always say, "You're so quiet. You're so quiet." There was a reason why I was that quiet, and it started really, really young, 1st and 2nd grade.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah. it is.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Vija.
Mine is also childhood. That's so funny because a lot of people don't know that I was born with spina bifida. So, and I didn't even know what it was. I had a little hump on the back of my back that had to be removed. It couldn't be removed until I was like 6 or 7 years old. But what I realized from that is that sometimes your mother doesn't communicate to you like she really should.
Oh, wow.
And I had an injury from working out in the gym. And I went to see an orthopedic surgeon, and he said, you could never have surgery because you had spina bifida. And I didn't know it. My doctor told me I had it.
Oh, wow.
And I asked my mom, why didn't you ever tell me about that?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I thought it was my fault. But see, communication, what I learned from that and having my own child is how important it is to communicate with your children no matter what. Don't harbor things and think that it's your fault. So that was my big life lesson.
Yeah.
It was kind of a hurtful lesson, but a good one.
That is a good one. All these are
Yeah.
good. All those so deep. I'm just like, wow. So that's very telling about who you are and who you've come to be, just based on your experiences. When did you know that you were a woman? Was there a defining moment in your life where you said, okay, I'm a woman now. I got to woman up. Think
I
about
remember.
that. Yes. When was that?
I do. It was my first year in college. So another thing people don't know, so I went to North Carolina A&T.
Aggie Pride.
Yes, Aggie Pride. But I transferred into A&T. So right after high school, I went to a small college, Livingstone, in Salisbury.
Yeah.
And when I was at Livingstone, and I grew up pretty sheltered life. I grew up Muslim. As a girl, woman, we cover ourselves, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I met Jasmine Lawrence. Jasmine was from Charlotte. When I saw her, I was immediately attracted to just all of her energy. Jasmine was about the same size as me. She had big breasts like me. I saw me in her, but Jasmine was confident. And it's not that I just didn't have, I didn't have a low self-esteem or anything. I was more so just neutral. But she was sexy. All the guys were all over her all the time.
Wow.
And it was like she walked into a room, and it wasn't just the way she dressed. It was how she stood and carried herself. It was her smile, all of that. And I was like, I want that for myself. And we became friends, and a bit of that always sort of came to me. And she probably didn't realize it, and she has since passed on, so I can never tell her.
Wow.
But she gave me permission to be a woman.
That's right.
When I was there, that is when I began to feel like this is me feeling confident in my skin, and I can look like that and look like this and still feel beautiful and sexy and all those other things.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teach you how to do your eyeshadow?
Eyeshadow is everything, girl.
No.
Yes.
I will receive that. But no, Jasmine was everything.
Okay. That's very defining.
That is. I remember mine too, but it's more cliche.
Yeah, okay.
It was the night that I got ready for prom. Actually, the whole day. When I grew up, I had two older brothers and a twin sister and a little sister, and my twin and I wore our brothers' hand-me-downs pretty consistently.
Wow.
I think some context. Super country. Hay bales on the way to school. We were not in a fashion contest at all. And we went, I mean bugle boys and big t-shirts, right? And my mom helped us pick out our dresses. I remember the exact color. Mine was blue violet, and my auntie came down. My auntie, who was a trained cosmetologist, and my other aunt rented a town car to drive us around. and my aunt spent all day on my sister and I. Like, first time I ever had my eyebrows plugged, first time I ever had anybody
Now
like
that's
do my
official.
hair in an updo. Yeah, like all the stuff that you do for prom. As if I
Absolutely.
had never had anybody do that. And
That's
plus
right.
we spent all this time walking around dressed fully as boys. And I
Going somewhere with that, Janine. You're going somewhere with that.
I remember that I came out of the room and everybody stopped and was like, huh. And then my brothers turned around and were like, hey, y'all are actually pretty. As if they had never noticed that we were women before. Like, it was literally like somebody had flipped the switch. It was like, y'all are young women.
Wow.
And it seems really cliche, but I remember it so distinctly because it took the breath out of the room when we came back in with our hair
He
done,
said,
our nails
y'all
done.
look really pretty.
He's like, both of them stopped, mouth open.
Oh my gosh. They took the mask all the way
Feel to
off.
have your
I mean, it made me feel some kind of way, actually. I was like, well, why did y'all let us walk around in your pants? Like, maybe you should have, like, intervened or something.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good, lady.
That's so
Defining moment for you, Vidra.
When I got my first job, I was 15 years old. I could finally stop wearing hand-me-downs and buy the clothes I wanted to buy.
There you go.
And then I started buying makeup. I would sneak makeup to school, and me and 3 of my girlfriends in homeroom would put on makeup, and that's when I discovered, yeah, I'm a woman. I'm buying clothes, and I'm putting on makeup. 15
Yes.
years old.
Oh
Yes.
my God. So when do we get away from allowing, in some regard, for the outside world to define who we are or how we see ourselves? You know, Janine and I have worked together on Girl Talk, my nonprofit, and a big part of what we preach is, you know, loving yourself and loving your body and your image. But there's so many outside influences now to tell us to do the opposite of that. You got to have this, you got to look like that in order for you to matter. So how do you separate that? How do you step outside of that and say, these are the things I know that this is why I matter, and this is how I matter? What do you all do?
It's interesting to me that you mentioned Girl Talk because Jordan went through Girl Talk, my daughter. And I think that part of trying to raise her and show up for her in the way that I wanted her to stand in her womanhood meant that I was going to have to let go of some of the things that I was taught. And I wasn't raised uber Christian, but definitely with a lot of Christian old school Baptist, you know, actually kind of real old school, like girls wear skirts and you super modest and you don't cross your legs at the knee.
Right.
And here I am raising a daughter by myself, and I'm trying to teach her about what it means to be a woman fully in her body and fully in herself and fully in her identity. And I didn't want to replicate those things. Those things had in more than one way hemmed me up, and I refused actually to replicate those things. And in trying to model for her what it looked like to be a liberated woman, I had to be a liberated woman.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I had to let go of a lot of the things, and that happened pretty early on. I would sing a song to her when she was a tiny girl about her fine brown body. And I just wanted her to know from inception that, like, sweetheart, your whole package, your mind, your body, and your soul is where it's meant to be. And you are a purposeful being, and the Creator made you uniquely special, and that is what it is. And it stuck, but there's a whole flip side of that too, you know, when you're raising a really strong-willed, very internally liberated child.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there's
She'll
a
throw
whole
it back
flip.
in your face, won't she?
Yes, she will.
I think that in a lot of ways, and my sister-in-law, who is my very best friend, says this to me all the time. I was Jordan. So I was raised with a lot of that permission to be sort of this, she calls me a free black girl. And so much of that for me happened in my household growing up. It was a requirement of, even though there's this, you know, these sort of rules that come with growing up in a Muslim household, my parents pushed against a lot of some of the stereotypical things that people think of when they think of what that is. But more than anything, it was this sort of not only permission but requirement to like stand in who I was. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know that that's the same story that my older sisters would say that they have, because parents change,
they do.
you know, and so I was given much of that in the foundation. And I have experienced different phases of it as I continue to grow into my own power.
Yeah. It's evolving.
Yeah. I think for me it was when I got into the advertising industry. because as a black female, and I started off working at a country radio station, there was perceptions about who I was when I'd walk in the door and try to talk about business. And there was perceptions when I started working at the company that I worked at. Many people didn't think I was going to succeed. So there was a time then that I had to say to myself, who are you as a woman, and are you going to allow these other people to define you?
Right.
So I think it started there. It was late for me in life. You think you're a woman and you think you've identified, but I realized at that point I had not. I had been just walking on this little yellow brick road, doing my thing, and not really realizing how other people were looking at me.
That's right.
And defining who they thought I was.
That's right.
And it was my goal to show them, no, you don't know me. I'm going to show you who I am. And that's still today, progressively, still happening. I'm still doing it.
We still do it, and that's what I was going to say, even in the workplace especially. Can you tell us about a time when your womanliness has been challenged? Can you recall a time when, and you kind of talked about it a little bit, Vidra, being at the country station, but has there been a time when someone has challenged you being a woman and what that looked like and what that meant? And how did you respond to it? Because, another big thing is just the perception of the black woman. Too aggressive, you're loud, you're too extra. All of these descriptions, we hear them all the time. And I have to be honest, I'm guilty of it sometimes. If I'm going to a certain department store or a big grocery store, a big retail store, you see what you see, and you're thinking, why do you have to do all of that? And why does it have to be us? So, my question again is, the perception. How do you begin to? When was the first time that you realized that, you're being challenged as not just a woman? I'll rephrase it, as a black woman.
Because that
as
is
a black woman, it does. So, can you think of a time when you've been challenged as a black woman?
I'm gonna be real with you.
Please.
Every job that I ever had, I mean,
walking in, right?
I can't think of a time in a job that I have not. And for me, my particular brand of black woman is pretty bold, and I'm kind and all those other things, but you know that I'm in the room when I'm there. And I can pinpoint, I can make a map of my experiences at the different jobs that I worked before I went out on my own. And I can map them by the different people who were intimidated by my presence. And sometimes I knew it just by the look on their face. So my work history has been in mostly nonprofit and in government spaces. And I worked in Cabarrus County in a state agency there, helping people get jobs at the unemployment office. And I experienced so much discrimination there that like HR and everybody was bought in at some point. And initially I was walked out and asked to leave. I was told that my tribal dress
Was it called
was
tribal?
unprofessional.
Tribal.
Tribal. It was unprofessional. Understand that my track record was impeccable.
Of course.
People would come to me who had been in prison for 20 years, things of that nature, and I saw them as the humans that they were, and we got jobs, right?
That's right.
And careers and certifications and things of that nature, but the powers that be in that office could not take my different. Yeah.
That's strong. Could not take your different.
Wow. I'm going to tell you one of the most hurtful situation for me was not in the workplace, because I'm used to that, right?
Yeah.
We're challenged with that all our lives, and our parents too. But the most hurtful was when I had a black male who I was interested in, who said to me, with your personality and how you are driven, do you date white men? Because I think, that might be something you should consider. Hold up. What? Why? That was the first thing I said. Why would you say that to me? Because you are secure, and I'm not sure any of my brothers could handle a female as secure as you are. That was hurtful to me.
Yes.
Female. The first time.
That's right.
Yes. So
that is
That would be
crazy.
mine,
And we got to jump into that, though. Go ahead with
Well,
your
mine is kind of an extension of that because
Yeah.
a black woman is the one who perpetrated mine.
what?
And like Hannah, I've been in a lot of spaces that I would say every single job has had this, but particularly a place, actually it's the shortest tenure of a job I ever worked, and this is part of the reason, is that she came up to me and said, in this organization, black women are only viewed in two ways. You can either be a mammy or a, and I don't know if you cousin your
What? Go ahead and say it.
bitch. She said you can be a mammy or a bitch. And your exact facial expression is what I look like, because I had this was during my 90-day evaluation.
Oh my
Is
goodness.
when she said this.
And this is a nonprofit?
Because she said I was showing up in a way that the white people in the organization were going to label me a bitch. Because I challenged the systems.
Yes.
I was asking questions. I was redesigning protocol, and I was asking that they actually listen to the people who we were serving.
Right.
She was like, "You gonna get labeled," and I was like, "That's my only two options. I can't be labeled." Exactly. I mean, for real. And speaking of it, you know, I made a very conscientious decision to not report her to HR because she was a black woman.
Did you pull it to the side though?
Well, what's funny is that we had a whole team conference, and I told that story, and they were like, they realized the person must be in the room, so they're trying to figure out who it is.
Yeah.
And I sat there thinking to myself, I can't stay here. I can't stay here. The fact that y'all can't figure out who it was that said this is a problem.
That's a problem with it.
It could have been any of us.
Right.
And they knew it was a leadership person because I had framed like how it had happened. And so I was like, now, the fact that y'all can't narrow it down, and also that she doesn't have the integrity to say I said that. Right? Like own your shit. Like
you said it. Own it.
And so like it taught me some lessons though, right? Sometimes it's the people who look just like you.
Absolutely.
You don't want to sabotage them.
Right.
I feel like we're gonna have a part two. Seriously, I mean, just on the relationships and the friendship part of it. So we are gonna have a part two, but I do want to get on to a few other questions I want to get to. Since we're talking about learned lessons, what's some of the biggest lessons you learned throughout your process of being a black woman? Is there a significant lesson that has left you saying, you know what, now that I know that, I will do this?
I think we're always still learning the lessons, right? And some a lesson that I am on now is actually that I get to define what, again, my brand of black woman looks like for me. I had another black woman say to me recently, and this was when I was in the process of creating Queen Charlotte, you need to like do a little less, right? I see that you are like out here all the time and doing this and involved in that, and are you resting? And I'm like, I'm good, you know. And they said, because you don't want to be a strong black woman. You want gentle. You want to be ease. You want joy. We're done with the strong black woman thing.
Who's done with it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But at the end of the day, she's done with it.
That's right.
You know,
And that's for her.
I get to decide what I accept for myself and what I don't. So strength doesn't have to look like me burning myself out to the point of not being able to sleep or, you know, like all being unhealthy and those types of things. So I get to define my strength, but I love my strength.
That's right.
And I get to stand in it. But people, especially with like social media and all that other stuff, everybody is an expert and they can tell you how you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to feel about yourself. And so the thing that I'm continuously learning is I get to be who I was designed and created beautifully and wonderfully to be.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
Amen. Yes. Anybody else want to go? You're still thinking on it. You're like, wait a minute, biggest lesson.
No,
Probably been
I
so
have
many
one,
lessons.
but it's more emotional than I probably can handle right now.
Okay.
But it's something that I actually told you. I mean, I don't know why we were talking about this.
Yeah.
For some reason, me, you, and Sade were talking about this. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I learned a really important lesson from I Am Queen Charlotte. Actually, I was with my daughter, and there's a part of the project where you say the names of the women in your life who have been powerful and influenced you. And at the time, my mother was in the hospital, and I'm sitting there with my daughter naming the names of women, and trying to explain to this artist like how these women are my village and how they have upheld me and my daughter. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how do I encapsulate all these lessons and these important things that my mother has instilled in me? I want to carry on. I want to carry it on.
That's right.
And my mother passed in January. So, you know, here I was saying her name and honoring her. And then fast forward, like, I need to live in that honor.
Yes.
And I told Hannah I had to make a decision that I was going to conscientiously carry forth a living promise to my mother. And that would entail the honor that needed to happen. It would entail the celebration that needed to happen. It would entail calling her name. And I had to make that decision really conscientiously in a way that I had not previously.
Yeah.
And in part, it was inspired by my daughter saying to me at the very last I Am Queen Charlotte event, she said, "Mom, you know what the main thing this has taught me? We should never wait to celebrate each other."
Oh.
Yes.
She said, "We should never, ever wait." And I was like, "You're right, baby. Like, we shouldn't wait. We celebrate.
We should not
We
wait.
celebrate these women.
That's right.
We honor them. We
Now.
say their
Right
name.
now.
Right now."
Wow.
And then with that, I'm going to say my biggest lesson is honor yourself.
Yes.
Because that's something I don't think we do enough of.
Mhm.
Yes, we do want to hear from other people what they see, the positive accolades, whatever they
Absolutely.
think about us. But it's so important that I've learned for myself in the last 10 years to honor me and to create balance for myself. And you know, I just started doing that.
Yeah.
I'm a workaholic,
Absolutely.
and
Right.
I get focused on something and keep going, but balance
Balance.
and honor of myself. That's important.
What do you all do for self-care? That you can say to the public. Oh my gosh, okay. What's our guilty pleasures, if you will?
I really, I enjoy TV. I like reality TV. I was at a dinner recently with my husband and another couple, and the other man was like, "You like reality TV?" Because people, for whatever reason, think that I am like always love and light, and I am Jill Scott
Girl,
Eric
no.
when I do like,
All of that combined.
yeah. And I'm like, if you can hear my playlist, then no,
Oh my
and those are beautiful women. It's
Yes,
just-
they are.
But yeah, I enjoy very like TV that doesn't make me have to think. Music, same thing.
That's
that
right.
like just makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
That my self-care is in just chilling. Like I really can chill real hard with
Yeah,
myself. Like
that's
we
right.
get along good.
Yeah. Basketball wise, it's back on just so you know.
Oh, I
Oh my God, self-care. Vidra, Janine? Guilty
Me, 'cause
pleasure?
I'm into the arts. So for
Yeah.
me, self-care is all about theater, and I love going to New York so I can be entrenched in it.
Yeah.
I'm taking acting classes now. On the weekend when I have time, I'm always into the movies and Netflix and Hulu and what's on next.
Right.
So for me, that's my guilty pleasure. I love that.
Yeah, that's good. Wait a minute, Janine.
Well, I can say this. We started a pandemic habit of going to different reserves and parks all around Charlotte. And I like it way more than I thought I would.
Really?
Yeah, like I really enjoy it. So
Okay.
we go there, and that's when we have our good conversations, and that's when we have our deep talks. It's right there in the woods.
Oh.
It's really very nice, actually.
Nature.
Nature.
That ain't true. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, Janine. Now, we're going to wrap it up. Before I go, though, ask you one last question. In one word, how would you describe being a woman? I'm sorry. How would you describe being a black woman in one word? I know that's hard, right?
In one word,
One word. It's the first word that comes to your mind.
tenacious. That's my one word.
Yes.
Visionary.
Divine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, ladies.
What's
Thank
yours,
you.
ma'am?
What's yours?
Yes, honey. It is all these things. It is beauty, just beauty, inside out. You know, it's all of this that I'm seeing right here and learning from you guys. And I think that we should have. This needs to be a very frequent occurrence. Have these small gatherings of women, and you all may already do this, but I really want to start doing this.
Yeah.
Just have these women or girl talk sessions for the big girls.
Right.
Yeah.
For real.
Oh,
That's what we
yeah.
need. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for joining us in this edition of Yes, Honey. Can y'all all say it now? Yes, honey. 1, 2, 3. Yes, honey.
Inspired by this edition of Yasss Hunni.
Yes, honey.
Catch this and other Yasss Hunni podcast episodes on Spotify and Apple. And you can follow JD on social media at JD Diva on Instagram and Facebook and on Twitter at JD Diva10.
You are now officially my aunt, a radio. Oh my God.
Yes, honey.